Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Men's Couch, a show about men's mental health. I'm Alex Hennon, and I'm here joined by
Jacob Anslone.
Sam Gutzwiller.
Lauren.
Micah Blackwell.
And welcome back to the show, guys. And today, I can't believe I'm actually saying this right now. Today is the season 3 finale of Men's Couch. It's really awesome to be here. It's awesome that we made it this far, and we're gonna make a lot more even after this. So before we start, don't forget to follow us on Spotify, where we listen to us every Monday and Tuesday. And also don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Men's Couch. And Micah, take it away, brother.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So today we're going to talk about kindness. And since it's the holidays, I figured that we talk about the effect that kindness has on others and the effect that kindness has on ourselves, and why being kind to people and just giving gifts is beneficial to our mental health. And I feel like it's an action. So even though it's an action, I feel like it's still worthy to be associated with it as a benefit. So I'm very tired, but we can. So I guess I usually start off by like going around the room, going around and saying what when you're either like receiving kindness or when you're giving kindness, how do you think that's beneficial to you?
I can start out. First of all, I love this topic. Men's Couch, we can get really serious and very in depth often, which is great. I think it allows for great discourse, but also sometimes it's nice just to step back and to have a nice relaxing topic like this one. As for the ways that I spread kindness and receive kindness, I love compliments. A compliment can go a long way, and it can really stick with you, whether it's noticing something about someone or just pointing out something. That can be great. I find the best way to spread kindness is to just be authentic. When people feel that you're being authentic, it's just a great way to reach people. And also smiling. I think smiling is a great way to spread kindness and spread a little bit of joy. And I think when you're not happy, it's tough to make other people happy. Yeah. So when you're happy, you can pass it forward, which is great.
I think for me, a source of happiness is also making other people happy, just like making their day. And I feel like not that I want to make it a selfish thing, because there's always a question of what is your motive, based on altruism, like do you want to help them or do you want to just like make yourself feel good? And I feel like it can be like a mixture of both, that you making someone else feel good makes you feel good because you get to help someone else. So yeah,
I think kindness in like even the smallest forms can become a long way. Like even just giving someone like a compliment, like Lauren, you have nice glasses.
Thanks.
Like I feel like that can make someone's day. Like you never know.
Yeah.
I think even just holding the door for somebody.
Exactly. You know?
I think that's probably like the least that I can do. I know that sometimes I'll fight over my brother to see who will hold the door for somebody. I guess it's just a thing of growing up. I think that's also something that we were taught. That hold the door for the person next to you, and I guess we never really comprehended the meaning of why we do it. But I think compliments, I guess for me, are what I like to receive. I guess it's just like a revalidation, of is what I did the right way. Am I presenting myself in a good way? So I think compliments are just the best for me. So
Definitely.
What are some examples of kindness that you guys have encountered recently?
you mean that we've given or that we've received?
Could be either. I would say more on the receive side with encountering, but
Actually,
has anything stuck out to you recently? We just passed Thanksgiving break, a lot of quality time with family. Did anyone notice anything? We're like, wow, that's a really special way to make someone feel.
I'll go first. So I was working a couple days ago, and this woman just out of the blue just said, have a Merry Christmas. And, she didn't know me. She went in to buy an item, and then she said Merry Christmas, and I'm like, that was very nice.
She went out of her way.
She went out of her way, and it's, it was December 2nd whenever this happened. And I guess so that was very kind, and I was very happy after that. Just someone just saying Merry Christmas, just brightened my day.
Yeah.
So, that's an example, that's someone holding the door for you. I know, I get happy, and just having a good conversation makes me, thankful,
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Got- No, what I like is when people just smile at me, and I don't like know them. If I'm like walking down the hall or walking on campus, people just like randomly smile. I like that. So that's something that I like to receive.
I like that too.
Yeah.
It definitely has happened where like they smile and wave and they say my name. I'm like, hey, and I'm like, who are you again?
Yeah. Gotta
It's
play the game sometimes.
Play the game, you know what I'm saying? But it's so nice to,
Mhm.
receive that.
That person smiling and waving is 9 times out of 10 me.
What's up?
Yeah.
Spreading that positivity, Lauren. Okay.
I try.
That's good, though.
I mean, even in the bands, like, everybody knows me as being positive. Like, I'm always talking to
Oh, yeah.
literally every section in the band. Hey,
Yeah.
how's it going? How's your
Yeah.
summer? How's your break? Like,
Mhm.
I'm really good at that. I don't know. I've always been kind of positive. When you never know what people are going through is another thing to notice. Especially like one of my patients today was just super kind, and she was just like giving me her arm to like make the blood pressure easier, and it's things like that it's like
Oh.
it's always such a battle for me to like. It's like I know these patients are like not feeling the greatest. They're not going to be like very nice normally, but it's like this lady was like really like sick, but she was still being like super helpful, and it was just like that was really nice of her to do that for me. And she was like asking me like how my break was and like how my family was, and she was a sweet little old lady, and
Yeah.
it just like it made my whole day. So something like that.
Yeah.
It's like active and passive kindness that just doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
You actually you brought up a pretty good point. I actually do want to bring up about like just having conversations with people.
Yeah.
Just
Oopsies.
let's say some icebreakers and stuff. I feel like just start like having a conversation with someone, like overall like how's their day going.
I mean, that's kind of what I did with my section this year. Like, Zoe was a brand new flute player, and I really took a lot for me to, like, kind of get her to talk. And once I did, like, we all know Zoe, at least most of us know Zoe here, and she's super, like, positive, and she always has something nice to say. And she was shy for a really long time, and I just started with icebreakers and a nice conversation and a friendly face, and it goes a long way.
Shout to Zoe. By
Shout
the
out
way.
to Zoe, my amazing rookie.
Yeah, I think too. I think also what for me is like the ultimate kindness is when someone's going through a bad day and they still go out of their way to be kind.
Yeah.
I think that really shows you,
Their character.
their character and a
Yeah.
genuine person. And I know that that's very difficult. And I always try to have a positive attitude when I'm going through rocky stuff, because my mindset is if you're gonna show like the negative behavior, it's not gonna help you.
Yeah,
It's gonna make you feel worse, honestly.
Yeah, it's just a cycle.
So even when I can just look out in the sky and say I'm thankful I'm here right now.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I guess I over the years changed my perspective on if I wake up the next day, it's gonna be a good day no matter what happens.
That's really powerful insight there, Jacob. And I think one thing that I don't want to be lost in the shuffle of our discussion today is we're going to talk a lot about kindness to others, and that's very important. But there's also another type of kindness, and that's kindness to yourself.
Oh yeah.
Kindness
Yep.
to
That's
oneself,
very hard to do.
Facts.
positive affirmations.
Mhm.
It's the holiday season. Everyone's in a rush. You're frantically going around. Remember to love yourself and have a positive frame about yourself.
Before we get to that, I was saying like the holidays, even though like it's framed as happy holidays and like Merry Christmas, for a lot of people the holidays can sometimes suck because there's a lot of things going on, like whether it be family or is it just the weather is just kind of like blah. So like the holidays aren't always the best time. I love the holidays, but I feel like it's important. It's more important to definitely be kind around the holidays because it can definitely be stressful with people like having to. I had someone, I think it was like last week, tell me like they were stressed about trying to find gifts for people. So it's important to be mindful of that, of how stressful it is for like a lot of people, and to contribute to the overall, I guess, to contribute to the overall like happiness of everyone is to be kind and acknowledge that. So yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but what the season depression or something like that.
Yeah.
Seasonal.
Yeah.
It's
Seasonal depression.
There's actually like clinical studies done on it. Like from a nursing
Yeah.
standpoint, it's all because of the sorry, I'm nerding out a little
No,
bit.
yeah, keep cooking.
It's all because of the vitamin D from the sun. So vitamin D is associated with like positivity and like you're obviously going to be like more uplifted if you see the sun outside, but you have a lack of vitamin D when the sun goes away. So that's why a lot of people take vitamin D supplements, but like if you don't, like you're lacking that. So there's actually like scientific research behind that vitamin D leads to mood fluctuations.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of goes into like serotonin,
Yep.
which kind of goes into like the seasonal depression that can sometimes happen, but nobody thinks of it as like a medical stance as opposed to like a mental stance, but it kind of goes hand in hand if you think about it, because they're both very, very, very important, and they go hand in hand with each other a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a way to cure it by chance?
Well,
Yes, there is.
yeah.
You can not necessarily cure, but there
You can
is
help it.
SSRIs, which can increase your serotonin levels. So if you want to go at from the biological perspective, then
We're
SSRIs.
in psychology.
yeah, those are serotonin like selective reuptake inhibitors. Those are like your generalized like mental health medication, or you can just
Yeah.
go as simple as trying a vitamin D supplement, or just like finding a way to get like I know. My
People do
therapist
light
talked about like a
therapy.
sunlight therapy.
Some-
yeah,
like light
there's
therapy,
something
people
as
do
simple
that.
as that, like 30 minutes a day sitting in front of a sun lamp. Like that
Yeah.
can give you enough energy to get a boost. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
know about that, but
I'm still
figured it's a fun little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and I think like we might not have like the diagnosis or the clinical version of seasonal affective disorder, but we can all relate to like less sunlight as it's darker outside. We can all relate to like feeling like a lot more tired, and a lot just like have less energy. So I think it's more important to definitely to spread kindness and to just knowing that we're all kind of experiencing like the seasonal blues and like the holiday stress, it's important to definitely be kind and to light up someone's day, because you never know. So
I think I found a good like side topic to go into, like ways to take care of yourself during the holidays. Like I know for
Yeah.
me, like I have a motivation app on my phone that like
yeah,
tells
you have
me
the
like
motivation.
you're proud or you're important and you should like be proud of yourself, and like that helps
Yeah.
me like wake up every morning and be like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Or like I write down 1 to 3 things I'm grateful for each day, and that's like that can also help. So like just finding different ways to take care of yourself. There's a lot of them, but
But kindness towards oneself. So I think kindness towards oneself, I feel like for me it's been a journey, because starting out was like the concept of being kind to myself, it was very difficult, because I'm the type of person that I kind of like just grew up as very like critical of myself, and like I have like the inner critic. So I think being kind is taking a way different, more compassionate approach to who you are, and letting go of all of those criticism that you have, and criticisms or judgments that you have about yourself. So
I think too, at least for me, I never really like talk to myself
You don't talk to yourself?
I never really like took the time and like thought about, of like if I'm in a situation, just kind of like broke it down in my head. I
Yeah.
kind of just did stuff. But I think
okay.
what helps me personally is knowing that, we're all gonna make mistakes.
Mhm.
It's nothing new. Everyone at this table have made mistakes. All right, and so I guess what helps me really is saying that, okay, I'm not different than this person over here who made a mistake. We're the same in that aspect. We both make mistakes. So you have to be kind to yourself whenever you go through those scenarios. You're like, I should have hold the door for that person. Okay, I should have done, A, B, C, D, or E. Just knowing that, that it's okay to make mistakes. It's, it's not don't beat yourself up for it, basically.
Yeah. Also, what helps me be kind of myself is looking at the situation objectively. I'm always like, if you're like, feeling regret, I'm always gonna say, well, you only knew what you knew at the time and
Yes.
that time period. So you only have like the tools or like the mindset that you had at the time, and it also goes along with like having grace for yourself because you're a different person. So it's important to be objective in that sense.
And with that too, it's like, okay, I regret doing this. Well,
Yeah.
you can't go back in time and fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Go
mean?
back
And
in
that's, I guess the trip for me, it's like, okay, I regret doing this, all right? But then you get stuck on the regret and you don't learn
Yeah, you
from
don't you don't learn from
the whatever, the mistake or whatever. So you don't learn from it. So then you're missing that key
you're
component.
probably more likely to make the same mistake again if you're gonna
Yeah.
like.
That's
go
why
into that
talking to
spiral.
yourself, saying, breaking down what happened, and, what are you feeling, and talk to yourself,
Yeah.
talk to yourself like you're talking to a friend, just,
I journal to myself.
that's fine. People journal,
I journal to myself.
Journaling yourself is a great way of doing that. Yeah. Speaking of mistakes, because I actually relate to a lot of what we're talking about right now. Because
You made a mistake.
oh yeah, I mean, everyone makes mistakes in their life, but I feel like sometimes I make more mistakes than the average person. And this came in this break where this is so embarrassing, but I accidentally parked in a handicap spot for a week, so my car got towed.
oh,
Yeah, it was here. It was the week before break, and I felt ashamed by it. It was $150 to get the thing out of the car thing, but I did beat myself up over it, but because like I always tend to sometimes, but after thinking,
Wait, why?
well,
Why do you think? Why?
because sometimes I feel like I'm not as like intelligent or something along those lines as other people, but this time it felt different because I feel like I learned from it because I talked to myself like a friend. Like
Yeah.
Jacob, that was a really good analogy you just did there because I feel like that's what I kind of do.
Yeah.
Like I talk to myself like if I was like a different person talking
Yeah.
to me. And I feel like that helps. So when I did that mistake, I had like a conversation in my head, and I feel like that helps in a way
Mm-hmm.
to like talk it through, and like mentally, I think that may help me grow as a person overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides just like listening to the inner critic.
Yeah.
how'd you know that they towed your car?
So funny story. So here's the thing. So I came home Monday last
Yeah.
week. No, the week before that, before break, and I parked. So what I sometimes do is, so I live in Marshall,
Yeah.
and then Lexington. That's where
Yep.
Lauren is. And the handicap spot right in front of Lexington.
Yeah.
I park there so I can get my stuff and put it in my room, and then I'll go downstairs and take my car up to the lot. That way I don't have to drive all the way to the lot with all my stuff. However, I guess I forgot about my stuff existing, about my car being there. So I was trying to leave for Thanksgiving break that on Friday. I couldn't find my car anywhere. So I thought my car was stolen. So then I went to the police station. I was like, hey, I think my car was stolen. And they're like, are you the black Cadillac? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, you parked in a handicap spot, buddy. We towed it.
Buddy's crazy.
That's crazy.
We towed it Wednesday. And I'm like, oh, cool. So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make a mistake. You know?
Yeah.
It just
Won't do that again.
My thing with so I don't okay. So my thing with kindness is really kind of I'm a Christian, and what I believe is like having the gifts of the Spirit. And over the break, I don't know why I felt called to do this, but I felt called to send affirmations to a friend. I had mind you, I had no idea what they were going through. I didn't know. I just felt called to send affirmations. And I think that's one of my gifts is affirming people and who they are. And I think that's another way of kindness is when you see who someone is, you notice that and you want to build up that person because you see in them you want to encourage them. So I think that's another way of being kind or spreading kindness.
Yeah.
I think for me, kindness, we have things that we think don't need to be said and they're just understood. And for me, kindness is saying those things. Like you have a family member, obviously you love them.
Mm-hmm.
Say it. Say I love you. My teammates, they know I'm very proud of them. They all know that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's nice just to go all the way and say, hey, I've seen the work you've been doing the past couple weeks. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's important to I think depending on your family or your culture, I think some people are not big on affirmation. I am because I feel like it's important, even though it's known, it's still important to say that because I feel like when you say hey, I see the good work you're doing. I think it gives a person a chance to kind of reflect on that and notice that within themselves.
Yeah, so I play club basketball here, and my team has been pretty much brutally decimated by injuries. Mm-hmm. We've all gotten hurt in some way, and it was a tough going into the break, me included. I got a knee injury in my last game. It was a hard thing to deal with, and everybody was pretty down about all of their injuries, and I was the person guys, we gave it everything we had. I'm so proud of you, and I actually think it helped because most of our injuries are pretty good now.
Okay.
But it's just believing in yourself and who you're around too.
But I feel like we downplay the effect of affirmation. Affirmation is very transformative in someone's life. You can change someone by affirming who they are, and I don't think we always recognize that. You can give someone the encouragement to do better on a team or just be better at who they are. So.
That hit hard.
Yeah.
What, really?
Yeah. No, and I think too that if you're in a wrong state of mind and you are ill, it's gonna make it worse.
What do you mean?
Say you're sick, all right, and say you keep nagging on yourself about yada yada. It's actually gonna make you more sick.
Yeah.
I know sometimes I've been ill and I'm down and then it doesn't help. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
So
going in the pity.
But we all like something about us. All right, could be your hair. Could be how tall you are. I don't know that you have good grades. You're good at video games. You all know what that you like about yourself, but just keep saying it, And even if you feel bad about yourself, say the opposite.
Oh,
do
the
opposite
of how you feel.
So then it's called opposite action.
Yeah.
So do that, all right? And the more you keep reaffirming the opposite, it's going to trick your brain to go, and you're going to keep saying that, and you're going to feel that way.
So I feel like we wait to feel something to do something.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I just saw the echo of that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that we live in such a busy world
Yeah.
that like we don't really take the time and check in with ourselves a lot. And then
that's another thing.
whenever you're at, knocking on the door, and then, you open the door and all the emotions rush and hit you in the face. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's very insightful.
You're like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, well, I've been feeling this way for a couple months. And, it's because I'm depressed about this or this. So I think the way to combat that is just to check in yourself within, see, Jacob, how you doing? Be like, hey, I'm good. Hey, I'm bad. Be honest.
Yeah.
Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
So I think that really just checking in for yourself will actually help others as well.
Yeah.
Because you're going to know, okay, how am I feeling today? All right, then how am I going to make others around me better?
Yeah, it's because you're more mindful about how you live your life, and instead of being on autopilot. It's so easy to be on autopilot, but if you're if you're mindful about how you feel, mindful about like how other people feel, then you're more likely going to spread happiness, and then that happiness is going to grow within you.
I think that is something that I kind of feel, especially like Jacob, I'm sure you can kind of get me on this one, but being section leaders is hard. And
Yes.
if you are not entirely there, your section is also not going to be there.
Yep.
And that's something that I keep in mind all of the time. I keep in mind my attitude, my kindness, my positivity, because if I'm sick or I'm down, I never let it affect that, because it's very, very easy to push that off onto somebody else, and that's not who I am.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
it's like impossible to be kind 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect in that aspect,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's very important that you consider how your actions are affecting the people around you, and if that's in a positive light,
Yeah, and I
especially
think,
as leaders.
a lot of people aren't taught this lesson. Like, I know that, the topic that we're talking about today is not very talked about a lot.
Actually, you have a point there.
Like,
I feel like it's always like maybe we're taught that like maybe in elementary school, but I feel like it's always seen as a given, but it's not actually a given.
yeah, it's like, not to get like all the way up here, but like, as a kid, you're taught not to kill somebody, and but it's like you don't like think about, well, why shouldn't you do that? It's kind of just like values that are instilled upon you.
It's like
I've seen people who are buttheads. We'll just say that blatantly. And their emotions take over them, and then they're just a jerk to everyone around them. And that there are some people who have came to Robert Morris. You are that way, and I think that these are values that the younger generation should be taught, because if we get in the mindset that you should just feel that way, you should just do that or have that value,
it's entitlement.
that is going to create so much havoc. All right.
It's entitlement.
Yes.
It's like
Now that's a great topic for next season. That's a
is that that's the opposite of like kindness or
well, it's like, okay, well, there's this car, all right? Since I'm this person's favorite, I'm entitled to this. I should get this.
It's also like people feel like entitled to like always like get something, and always the people around them need to be the results of like their emotions, or I was hurt, so that means like everyone around me has to like I have to not that like I feel like people don't consciously think that, but they are like their default is to just not be mindful. It's not like a willingness, it's more of like a passivity.
Do you want to know what I think's fun with kindness?
What?
So I find it fun whenever someone's a complete jerk to you, all right? Calls you out, be kind to them, okay?
Yeah.
Because it'll make them think like, wait a minute, it'll kind of like little trip. But also, I don't live with regrets, I'm kind of this person, and they've said yada yada about me, and I've dealt with these people here, at home, everywhere. And I'm also religious. I'm a Catholic, so I'm always like, at when they're knocking, and they're talking to dear Lord, and like, well, why are He'll be like, well, why'd you act this way? Then you can feel good knowing, when you're at the pearly gates, that you're gonna feel like, I handled that really well, and you don't have a regret.
I think like when you're dealing with like I don't know what the word to say, like a toxic situation, I feel like when you walk away knowing that you've done everything and you're the best, you've shown up as the best authentic version of yourself, then I think there's an opportunity for you to grow and to like live without any regrets because you didn't do anything wrong. So you get to walk away knowing that you showed kindness and love to that person.
No one's a finished product.
No one's a finished product.
No one is. So you're gonna make mistakes until you're at the very end. All right. To the very end. But that's the way I be kind. Even when people aren't kind back, because then you're not gonna have anything to answer for. Did your best. Okay. And it's a situation that you are in.
I think
It's the best you can do, really.
Yeah.
Sounds like Jacob is advocating for using kindness as a weapon almost to diffuse situations.
Well, I think
which
that,
is awesome.
Well, I think that but I feel like at a point you can't just be all kindness, blunt, So I don't want to divulge into that aspect because it's a cheery episode. Christmas is coming up. But that there are times where you don't be kind. It's just the way it is. The way I tend to look at stuff now is very black and white, yes or no. In that aspect, we all think differently. But if someone's being a jerk to you, Lauren, in a section, people talk back to you. My 4 years here, I've had to talk back, and not be kind,
Yeah.
But I think it's you pick and choose your battle with that,
That's important.
That's pick and choose your battles. That's one of the most important lessons to learn. It's when should you, cut the cord, or when should you, pursue an action.
Because we carry especially me, as like a very sensitive person, you tend to carry so much, so many burdens that are not yours to carry.
Yep.
And it could wear you out. It's important to be kind, but also when the situation doesn't warrant, when the situation doesn't warrant, just to be open arms to everyone, it's important to just have those boundaries.
People pleasing.
So, yes.
I would
This is
challenge all of the listeners to not view kindness as a weakness.
That's not kindness isn't weakness either.
Well, I feel like everyone kindness is good, but there's always kind of what you said, but to me it's there's a borderline of, because there's a borderline between being a pushover and being nice. If that makes sense.
Because it's funny, it's always the kind people, and the ones who don't really talk are always the worst ones. When they get mad.
Yeah.
The lid blows off.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Get out of the way. That the door's gonna hit you on the way out.
Yeah, because if you build that up, if you don't have your boundaries early on, and that it builds up, it just boils over.
Well, that too. I look at it as, I know I have the issue where it's kind of like the anger. It's like a pot, all right, and then it's like hot water, steam coming up, and then it'll be like I step on a branch, boom, all the anger I've had, comes out at the worst possible moment.
Yeah.
And that goes back to checking in when you're with yourself.
Yeah.
How you doing today? And talking to others. Your parents, best friends, and I know it's a very difficult thing to be open because as we judging others.
Yeah. That one episode.
Yeah, about the one episode about being judged. But I've always felt like if you get all the points that you want to talk about, no matter if the person says anything or does, you're going to feel so much better because you're going to get everything off your chest.
Yeah.
And life's a lot easier whenever you get all the emotions out. And I know that's very difficult, and it's very difficult for me, I feel like going to college was I went to North Allegheny, all right?
Yeah.
So it's a couple, I live 30 minutes from here, okay?
Okay.
But then I came here, and it's like only 30 minutes away from home, but this is like the big world. This is like
it's like totally different.
and the hard
Totally
part is
different.
that you're coming in here, and people are kind to you,
Yeah.
and be kind back. That's what I say. Be kind back, but then there's a point where obviously you can't be kind, but check in with yourself, be a genuine person. Do not conform unto what other people want you to conform.
Ooh.
I know.
Verse.
I know that that's a big issue with at least our generation.
Yeah.
Being someone that you're told to. But I think if you just talk to yourself, just hey, look, the road's nice. I don't know, the trees look beautiful. You know what I mean? Talk to yourself as your own friend. And that's gonna change your entire perspective. At least for me, it has.
So I think we said, like Sam mentioned, is important for people to understand that kindness isn't a weakness.
Mm-mm.
And I think it's important for men to have that mindset, because I think our first thing is always aggression. I don't know if any of you can relate, but I think the first thing in dealing with maybe like a situation or conflict is always to aggression, to get maybe defensive or to have that your guard up. But I think it's important to be being kind to see kindness as a strength. And I think we see it as the opposite. We see it as, kindness means you're being a pushover, but there's a lot of strength in being kind.
I agree, Micah. And if you guys don't mind, I have one final question that I wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
Do you think there is a difference in generations, a generational gap between kindness? You mentioned how for younger people, kindness looks a little bit different. How does it compare to how you see adult figures act kind to each other?
Well, I think.
Do you think we're getting less kind as a society with our generation?
I don't think we're necessarily getting less kind, but we're getting kind in a different way. Adults didn't have Twitter or X, now Instagram, Snapchat, social media or messages. And trust me, it's different to be kind on a text message than it is in person, because you could basically say how's your day, all right? Like how I'm saying it to all of you here, and people could mistake that as, well, why are you yelling at me?
They could,
and
misread it.
Misread it, and I think that that's a big issue, with conversations. I've talked to friends.
Communication.
Yeah, and it's different. People call each other on the phones. Went out to the park. We'll take our bikes and go meet. At North Park at 5:00. And it's more. We text, Snapchat. So I think necessarily, I don't think that we're not as kind. I think that to be kind is you have to navigate different paths to it.
Yeah.
I think my question is, to add to that, are we a lot more shy with our kindness now that it's more electronic? We're not as open in person?
I would.
Or I don't know.
What do you mean?
This is a question. Are we because if we rely heavily on messaging someone through a phone, are we gonna are we uncomfortable with if I were to verbally affirm you, oh my gosh, Alex, you're such a great actor? Are we uncomfortable with that, affirming in person? Or is it just are we
I honestly I not to be the Chad Cathy right now, but I think the problem is that we're given so many resources now that it's easier just to send an email, a message, than it will be going to talk in person. I know professors, you know what I mean? It's a lot of times easier just to message them instead of going in person, you know? Now, neither's right or wrong. I'm not saying which way to do it, of course. That's for your discretion. But I just think that, whenever you talk to someone who was, born before us, we did this as kids, all right?
Yeah.
I always say, we grew up differently, generations grow up differently. People born in the 1900s grew up different, in the 1940s, 80s, And even the 2050s, they'll be
2050s.
different than us.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is
think
already different with Gen
you know,
Alpha.
so I just think that inherently we didn't get better at nice or get worse at nice. It just the direction of which that we conduct and the avenue of showing kindness and niceness is completely different than it was.
Would everyone like to go around the table and share their final thoughts on kindness and how we all plan to spread gratitude this holiday season? Starting with Alex, if you're okay with that. If you got something.
Okay. Like how do I spread kindness around this holiday?
Yeah.
Basically. What I usually do around this time is, I know like we kind of mentioned about technology, but I always try to send like a text message, but a pretty lengthy text message. What I'm planning on doing this year actually is I have a bunch of people who I really care about. I'm gonna send them like a whole like thesis of why I care about them, what they mean to me.
Hold the phone. Wait a second. Okay, before we exit, I feel like now that you have that thought there, I feel like for men it might be hard to do those things because it might be seen as like a vulnerable thing to let your heart out like that. I don't know if you understand me.
It's okay to be vulnerable.
Like you're letting someone know that that you deeply care about them, that you love them. I feel like it can be hard as men. Maybe I don't know if it's like for everyone in the room or for anyone listening, but I think like I needed to practice doing that, practice like affirming people to get comfortable with it. So
Yeah. But like Will was saying, I just want to show my gratitude and to the people who I care about and like what they mean to me personally.
yeah.
That's what I like to do. What about you guys?
Oh, I was gonna ask. Me is always affirming people. A big example is over Thanksgiving break. I sent it's like every day I felt called to send an affirmation to Dimitri. Dimitri, if you're listening to this, you know. So I sent. It was like every day I sent an affirmation, and of like because we were like talking about like our spiritual journeys, and I felt like called to kind of speak into that. So I think even kindness, like it's not like a physical gift, but even in that sense, like don't just because it doesn't look a certain way. We like around the holidays we get to like an idea of like what a gift, like our expectation of what a gift looks like. But a gift can just be like expressing your care and love to someone. It doesn't have to be physical. That's my final thought.
So for me, I do this thing every year where me and my brother, we sit down and we make about 50 Christmas cards for my mom's a nurse. So we just give them to her and she gives them to whatever patients don't have any family for the holidays. Because
nice, yeah.
I think it's hard to forget, or it's easy to forget sometimes that like these like patients that are in the hospital, especially from like a nursing standpoint, they don't have like a lot of them don't have family that's like nearby, or they're not allowed to have family. And it's like that Christmas card can make all the difference in the world to someone. It's as simple as a piece of paper with some writing on it, but to us it's like, oh, it's just a piece of paper with writing, but to them it could be $1,000 worth. It could be it could be $10,000 worth. It could be priceless. Something as simple as that is something that I do just to, you never know what people are going through. It's just brighten people's days. Another thing is just having a smile. Like Sam was saying earlier, a smile can make all the difference in the world. You never know what someone's going through, and that's the biggest takeaway I have, is to be kind and respectful and have a smile on your face.
Very well said, Lauren. What's Christmas without gifts, guys?
Yeah.
I think gift
I know
giving
what I
can be a great way to spread some kindness and gratitude. And I know we're all college students, so oftentimes we can be pressed for money. I try to give my roommates gifts that are personable to them. Maybe it's played off of an inside joke, or it's just something that I know they really wanted, and we've talked about, and I feel like that's a great way to build a connection. So most of the time, every single time, it's not that expensive of an item, but I think it means more to them because it's an item that comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And then once again, to reiterate, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and be your genuine self, and the kindness will just come in second nature.
And then, wow, all great points. I think for me, holding the door for the person coming after you, just asking people, how's their day? You know, just if they say it's bad, you know, listen. You know, listen. Just gift giving, and just being there for people who don't have strong ties to their families.
Oh my gosh, you made two. Sorry, I just have to say you made 2 important points. So, saying how's your day? It's not only just important just to say that, but it's also important to listen, because I feel like we all say okay, hey, how's your day? But I think when we actively and genuinely listen, then it gives the person the opportunity to be heard, and as well as being someone's family, that when they don't have maybe their families they can't they can't see their family often, or their family's not the greatest. I think it's important to be someone's family for them, and that's sorry.
No, you're good. No, and
That's two important points.
I concur with that statement.
Yeah.
Just the small things. I always say that the small things usually will be more, blank on the word. To doing the small things can actually have a better result than doing the big things. Because usually people will pick up on the small things. Usually.
Yeah.
I guess holding the door. Whenever I hold the door and someone smiles and says thank you, it makes my day right there.
Is that why people are stressed during the holidays? Because we have an expectation of, I want to get the perfect gift for this person.
Yeah.
Well, I think also, and
I'm kind of stressed right now.
well, and also because it's mayhem. Usually my when I'm trying to find something to get someone a gift, they're always out. All right, it's just the way life goes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us. Yeah.
Season finale.
Yeah, guys.
I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday. And
Yeah.
This is Men's Couch signing out in a great season 3, and
This
looking
was-
forward to season 4.
This is probably the best season yet. We've had so many new faces, or I guess voices in this case. But
Yes, sir.
yeah, I just wanted to say, everyone, thank you for listening to us over this year and a half of Men's Couch.
Oh my.
Yeah. And we hope to, when we come back stronger with even better episodes. Season 4. Woo! Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to say, so Jacob, Sam, Lauren, we really appreciate you guys being on the show. Yeah.
Be back next
Yeah.
year.
I know, Jake, I know you're graduating, but I really hope you are able to come on the show.
Oh yeah, I'll
Yeah.
pop by.
Are you not wait? It was probably after that sort of question.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm graduating next semester.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. I thought you were.
No.
That's the other guy. Okay, cool. Yeah. I hope.
Jacob will be around for season 4. We got some big things on the horizon.
You betcha.
Yeah.
You betcha, Sam. We do really have some big stuff to reveal.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
you know.
I don't know.
You know.
That's for you to say and you keep going.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know.
But no, we do actually really have some good stuff coming up in the future, and we really hope to get that soon. So yeah. So this is anyone else have a final thing? No.
Have a good and safe break.
Good, safe break. Happy holidays from the Men's Couch. We'll see you guys next season. All right. Have a good break, everybody.